How do you define the least impressive champion of any sport? They are still the champions and will always be the champions, of course. No owner, player, or fan will care how they did it as long as they did, in fact, win it all on one or multiple occasions. However, for argument's sake, here at White Widow Sports, we decided to look through every single Super Bowl champion and decide which we felt was the most impressive champion and the least impressive champion. This is not, and I repeat not, a list of who is the best and worst champion, just the one that we felt was least impressive in their quest. And remember, we do not discredit anyone for being a champion of anything, but out of all of them, someone has to arguably be the least impressive and the most impressive, and we thought it would be fun to explore. We will also be doing this series for any and every sport we believe we are competent and knowledgeable enough to make an informed opinion on, so be on the lookout for other videos like this on our channel, and please like, share, subscribe, and argue in the comments and let us know what sport we should do next. Now, how did we pick the most or least impressive Super Bowl champion? In the case of the least impressive, was it a team that snuck their way into the playoffs and won it all? No, that's impressive as hell. Was it a team that dominated all season and then did exactly what they were supposed to? Also no. While that is anticlimactic, it's still very impressive to meet hefty expectations that were set. The answer we found lies somewhere in between. So, let's get into it. The Super Bowl is 58 years old at the time of this recording, which means none of the members of this channel were alive to see them all happen live in real time and get a real-time feeling. That said, while researching this video, several teams came up that I'll go into first, and why I just have to disagree with them being my pick. The 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers are out there on a few lists, and I grant you that while the Super Bowl itself wasn't exciting or memorable outside of Steelers fans' mind, the team itself and the path it took was very impressive in my eyes. While the team could not match the 15-1 regular season mark from the previous year, it was able to overcome a 7-5 start and finish 11-5 to make the wild card as the 6th seed and become the second team ever to win 3 playoff games on the road en route to finishing what the 2004 team started and won it all for the first time in 26 years. During this run, they defeated the favored Cincinnati Bengals, the number 1 overall seeded Indianapolis Colts, and the Denver Broncos before beating the Seattle Seahawks 21-10 in the Super Bowl. Another one that came up in my research was the 1980 Oakland Raiders, but I again found this team to be impressive in overcoming injuries, such as starting quarterback Dan Pastorini breaking his leg in Game 5. 32-year-old Jim Plunkett took over and led the 2-3 team to 9 wins in the next 11 games to get a wildcard berth. The team then beat the Houston Oilers, Cleveland Browns, and San Diego Chargers before winning their second and most recent Lombardi Trophy against the Philadelphia Eagles 27-10. Now, those teams out of the way, the team I feel is the least impressive Super Bowl champion of all time is the 1968 New York Jets. Entering the 1968 season, the Jets were coming off of an 8-5-1 record in 1967, which they did improve on to 11-3 in 1968. They began the season with 4 relatively close wins and 2 close losses before finally flexing on the Boston Patriots 48-14 in late October during a 4-game winning streak. The streak would come to an end on November 17th in a 32-43 loss to the Raiders, but they would go on to win their final 4 games in convincing fashion. The Jets earned the only bye of the 7 teams in the playoffs, and in the AFL Championship game, they edged out the Oakland Raiders 27-23 to get to Super Bowl III. Most of us know what happened next, as it is NFL folklore. Quarterback Joe Namath guaranteed a victory over the heavily favored Baltimore Colts. He would do just that, and some say he even sold his soul to the devil to do it, but I can't prove that one way or another. Now, before I continue, I just want to say that this game is legendary and one of the biggest upsets in American sports history. However, this isn't about the greatest or worst game. That's easily one of the several blowouts. Anyways, the Jets beat the Colts 16-7 and won their only Super Bowl to date. The Jets scored on a 4-yard run by Matt Snell in the second and later added 3 field goals. The Colts scored on a 1-yard touchdown run late in the fourth and were never really in the game. Joe Namath went 17 of 28 for 206 yards and no touchdowns, but somehow won the game's MVP over Matt Snell's 30 carries for 121 yards and the lone touchdown, along with 40 yards receiving, which gives somewhat credibility to the selling of his soul claim. While this was a pretty good Jets team, they kind of just grinded out a few games along the way to earn a very favorable bye to put them into the best postseason position and won a low-scoring close game when it mattered most. A job well done, sure. A place in immortality among NFL history, absolutely. Impressive though? Maybe just not as much as everyone else. To this day, there is speculation that the game was fixed by some, including Colts defensive end Bubba Smith. Additionally, several of the Colts players said, quote, "We lost to a team we would beat 1,000 times and it was just humiliating." Was this a fluke? Was it just sore losers? Was it fixed? Was a supernatural deal with demonic forces in play? We may never know. Thank you all for watching. Please do like this video, share and subscribe, and also please feel free to comment anything I missed, anything you disagree with, or maybe even something you do agree with. This has been Chris with White Widow Sports, and I will see you in the next one.